Hello, and welcome to the Music Teacher Coffee Talk podcast. I'm Tanya.
And I'm Carrie. We are both elementary music teachers who love to talk shop, preferably over a steaming cup of coffee. This is episode number 164. Today we are taking a peek at our week and looking at our second grade lesson plans. We'll also talk about our highs and lows from the teaching week, discuss some ideas in our Know Better, Do Better segment, share a work smarter, not harder teacher tip,
And in our CODA section, we'll give some specific recommendations of our favorite things we are enjoying in or out of the music room. So grab your beverage of choice and let's get started. This is the time where we discuss our highs and lows from the teaching week, highs or lows. Carrie, what do you want to focus on?
I just want to celebrate that I am having a really good year of choir, knock on wood, in the air. I have really good numbers in my choirs. So I have two choirs. I do choir 2 days a week because it just works out on my schedule. So put them all together, and I'm about 75 between the two choirs. So I have 30 something in each one, and they're sounding really fantastic, which is exciting. And I think, the longer that I'm at the school, the more I know the kids and know their ability level, which is good. We're working on our repertoire for our first concert, which is going to be a vocal festival in our area with our articulation area with our local high school and middle school and other elementary schools. And they're learning the music super quickly. And then we did a little performance. We sang the national anthem at a Colorado Avalanche preseason game. I emphasize preseason because the Avalanche is a big deal here in Colorado. That's our hockey team, our professional hockey team. So, no, we did not sing the national anthem at a real game. It was a preseason game, but still really fun for the kids and for me. And had about half of the students who were able to go because they have to buy tickets, so it's a big commitment, financial and time wise. But they sounded really well, and I was just super proud. So like I said, knock on wood, because choir is a hard thing. It takes a lot of time and energy and commitment, and some years it goes well, and some years it feels like a struggle. But this year it's going well, so I just wanted to celebrate that.
That's awesome. Good for you.
Yay! How about you, Tanya?
Oh, I'm going to go low.
Okay. No,
Um,
it's all good.
yeah, well, life. I am struggling with the new rotation. Um, as we've talked about before, this year, similar to you, I see four total groups of students. So four kindergarten classes, first, second, all the way up to fifth grade. And so I see kids for 2 days at a time, and then they go away and they come back 6 days later. The 2 days at a time, that's okay. Here's my struggle. When I get to the last group of classes, I'm bored.
Right?
and and I'm like, I don't know, there's like two sides of my brain. There's two parts of me. One part of me is like, oh, they're doing really well. You could go ahead and add such and such. Oh, we could mix this up. You could read that book that goes along with the next thing you're planning. And I just have to really reel myself back and stop myself from um go moving ahead, whether the students are ready or not. Like, on the one hand, it wouldn't be horrible if I, with that last group, like, oh, well, they're doing so well with this. Let's go to the next step. That's very natural. And I could make note of that. Oh, this specific class did this extra thing and the other classes didn't. That's not too hard to keep track of. But sometimes it's not because of the students, it's because of me. Because I'm like, gosh, I'm tired of doing this thing this way because I've done it three other times, and I just find myself being naughty in my brain, and
I love the
not
way.
in a grown up way either, but you know what I mean, like being
Yeah.
like wanting to break free. um which is interesting because I think back to the beginning of my career when I was on a schedule where I saw the same group of classes on Monday, different group on Tuesday, different group on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I had five total. And I did that for a few years. What's my problem? I think it's because I've been teaching a long time. And at this point, I just get antsy during that last rotation. And I want to mix things up and I have to keep holding myself back. And so I just need to find the flow and be okay. And I'm not sure. I can't get, I don't want my classes to get too off.
Yeah,
It's totally natural for one group to move a little bit more this way, or that's fine because you're teaching to the learners in the room and you're doing what they need, and that's important. But that's different from teacher being bored and bringing out a bunch of maracas. You know what
right.
I mean?
Yes, can I give you a tip? Because I had to
Please.
start dealing with this last year because I we added our fourth class per grade level last year. So one way that I have curbed the boredom for myself is doing different things purposefully with different classes that don't like change up my curriculum. So for example, we're moving into like Halloween and autumn. So I have a bunch of Halloween and autumn books that aren't necessarily tied to like my conceptual curriculum, but I might do a different picture book at the end of each first grade class, let's say, because it's just me reading to the kids and singing a song for fun. So I might do, the little old lady wasn't afraid of anything. I know that's not one of your favorites, but that's one example with one class. And I might do going on a goon hunt or whatever with another one because they're just both fun Halloween thematic books and it really doesn't matter, right? So that's one way that I keep it fresh. Or like folk dancing with older kids. Sometimes I'll do different folk dances with different classes simply because it's more fun for me to do it that way. So,
Yeah. Do you keep good track of all of this? Or do you
yeah, for
find yourself
myself,
like,
just because, like, on a choice day, if they're like, let's do this dance, I'm like, well, I mean, I guess if they say, let's do this dance, then I know that's the
then they
dance I've
know it?
taught them.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be like, remember when we did it? I'm not saying I've done this a lot. I've done this just in small bits, but it's just a suggestion that if it's not anything that's going to like make or break the full flow of your curriculum and like your song list and what songs you really want every class to know, if it's books, folk dancing, or even what instrument you play a steady beat on, I mean, even that can change things up a little bit. So I don't know. I'm just
Yeah. No, I
putting
hear
it out
you.
there.
I'm worried about my brain like later, like 2 months down the line, going, hey, remember when we did fill in the blank and a class looking at me going, no, we
Right.
didn't, you know.
So to
So
me, it's more like those one-off things, like things that I
right.
wouldn't necessarily bring back another day that I'm just doing in that one lesson just for fun. Again, it's often like the thematic or the holiday kind of stuff.
Yes.
That to me is that one-off thing that you just do in that one lesson and you wouldn't bring it back anyways.
No, that's a good idea. Maybe I should look into that. Yeah. I really, it would be easy, but not easy. It would be easy to take each, say, second grade, because we're talking about second grade today, each second grade class on their own musical journey. I mean, if I only taught one grade level, I could totally see like these students need this and they thrive on that. And we can go like you could really see kids blossom and give them exactly what they need. This is why teaching music is exciting, I think, because the learners in the room change and you can change things up according to them. But when you teach this many kids, you really got to have everyone on the same page. But I like that idea of the things that are not, you know, curriculum tied. But then I would also have to hold myself back, Carrie, because like I get excited about, oh, these kids loved this book and they really responded. I want to do it with everybody, kind of
Well,
thing.
then you do it with everybody, but at least then you have the option, is what I'm saying. If
Sure,
you get to that fourth time you've taught that lesson and you just don't want to read this book, just grab a different book. Ah,
sure. Yeah.
one thought. So, we're going to do another peek at our week podcast this time. And now we're talking about second grade, which I must say is one of my favorite grades to teach. I love second grade. I love the grade level. I think they're like old enough that they're starting to get some of that sarcasm and humor, but young enough that they still go with you on stuff. And then curriculum wise, things just get more interesting and exciting in second grade and their skills are building. Anyways, I love second grade. This is one of my favorites. So I'm excited to
Yes.
dig in.
Yeah. Me too.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, Tanya's going to go first, but what are all the awesome things you're doing in all of your, all four of your second grade classes?
All four. So my goals in second grade for lessons 8 and 9, which I am in the midst of completing, are we are reviewing rhythmically ticka ticka because I presented ticka ticka in second grade, which is a new adventure for me. It's just like your classroom of students is your little laboratory, and I thought, let's try this out. I was inspired by Crystal Hendricks, who taught level 2 at CKI, the Colorado Kodai Institute, this summer. And she really pushed for Ticka Ticka happening before half note. She had really good, solid reasons. She spoke about half note songs containing that low law, that there's, some repertoire to support that when you're teaching half note and teaching that rhythmic concept, it's easy to use that same repertoire for melodically, low la. And ticka ticka is a very simple rhythm. When I do it in third grade, that's easy for the kids to catch on. I don't spend a whole lot of time preparing it, and I don't have to use a whole lot of repertoire. I probably use 3 to 4 songs and chants. And I thought, well, let's see how this goes. So my second grade and my third grade classes at the very beginning of the year looked very similar because we were doing ticka ticka prep, but I was using slightly different repertoire for third grade than second grade, and some of the same repertoire. And it was just kind of like an experiment. So second grade are doing really well with it. I'm used to rhythmically first doing half note, but we're reviewing ticka ticka. Melodically, we are reviewing So Me and La, and we are prepping do. We are on our way to do. I now realize, of course, that at the end of the year, I was maybe a little too rushed getting everybody reading So Me and La on a 5-line staff. You know, I introduce a 5-line staff at the end of first grade, but we don't live there too long. And then in second grade, we kind of walk it back. It's really challenging for students that age to distinguish between the lines and the spaces. It is such a fine tuning thing when you're doing staff work where they're reading things. So, anyway, backing it up, we've been working on a 3-line staff and doing some Somi Law work. I've been using the song Little Leaves Are Falling, Falling Everywhere, making all the tall leaves look so very bare, because the beginning is awesome for so la so me, and then the end we've just got that one do. And please excuse my voice, I was sick, and then I went to a concert and sang really loudly. So
As one does.
I've not been too kind to my voice, and it shows. So anyway, uh bell horses, what time of day is another great law somi law review. And along with that, we can also read ta and tt and rest, um, which my second graders are very solid on. Also, I have been using I asked for some ties from third and second grade families, because again, I was inspired by seeing Crystal Hendricks do some Del Crow's activities with ties. And I always thought, oh, well, I could just use scarves. Not the same, actually. Scarves, they're a little too flimsy, but ties work really well. And so to start with, I was having my second graders use one tie and just keeping the beat and pulling themselves back and forth across as we are chanting rhythms to songs we know. We were doing a rondo alla turca, Mozart, the ticka
Doodle-doodle-doo.
ticka ta, ticka ticka ta, ticka 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 ta, tee 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 ta. Little tip: the Glenn Gould recording of that is much slower than most of the recordings you will find on YouTube or Spotify. Plus, whenever you use Glenn Gould, you get that extra little yummy bit of, hey kids, Glenn Gould was kind of criticized for singing along while he played. Let's see if we can hear him singing
Mm-hmm.
along.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, of course, because Glenn Gould. So we were doing some of that. And then we took it to where we have students across from each other. Each one has a tie, and then they are wishy-washying back and forth like this.
You got to
right?
see the video, everybody, to know
Yeah,
it.
you got to see the video because it's so exciting.
We're on YouTube,
You
by
can
the
picture.
way.
Yeah. But it's really nice with that particular piece because they really get into that flow.
Yeah.
And some of them can speak the rhythm while they do it. Some of them can't. It doesn't matter to me. I really want them to get that feel. So that was fun to explore that. I need to do some more Del Crow's kind of training, I think, because it's great. Anyway, so yeah, Tika Tika, Somila, and we're driving to Doe with one of my favorite Halloween songs, To Rubble Tum, which I think does not get enough love. It's kind of a funky little song, and I will sing it, but I'm going to sing it lower because of where my voice is. You can find it in American Methodology, the Ann Eisen Lamar Robertson book. It is in the back, the notation, and the whole thing goes to Rebel Tum, to buy a bag of bubble gum. Hey, oh witch, what o'clock? And then the student in the center of the circle, who is the witch, goes to one person and they say, 1 o'clock going on two. They go to the next person. That person says, 2 o'clock going on three. 3 o'clock going on four. 4 o'clock going on five. 5 o'clock going on six. I encourage them to use spooky voices if they're one of the kids with the spoken solo, but they don't, or they try and it's weird. Uh, they think really growly is really scary. So it doesn't matter. But that's just a little fun middle part. And then we all ask the person which in the middle, where are you going? They answer, to the woods. What for? To pick up sticks. What for? To build a fire. What for? To boil some water. What for? To cook one of you chickens. So the witch in the middle answers all of the what fors. And then everybody closes their eyes. The student in the middle creeps up on one and just spookily says, to cook one of you chickens, and maybe lightly touches them on the shoulder. And would I call it scary? No, but it's tense and they love it. Plus, where are you going? To the woods. All of that. So la. It's lovely and they sing it in tune. And the soloist is singing the so la la. And so it's a wonderful, perfect timing for us to get that law going, remember that we know where law is. And we don't have a lot of songs that feature law prominently. And here's one of them. So that's why I like to Rebel Dumb. Also, not melodically related to anything we're doing, we're revisiting Black Cat, which I got from Amy Abbott a bazillion years ago. And we will link that in the show notes to Amy's blog because she does a really great um, explanation of what to do with it. Uh, Honestly, I just have kids sing it and creep around like black cats. It goes like this. I think I've sung this before in another episode. I don't know. It doesn't
Probably.
matter.
That's okay.
Probably. Black cat, looking for a witch. Black cat, night is dark as pitch. You can see me 'cause your eyes are green. Black cat, this is Halloween. And
Right?
at the end, we'll go,
Yeah.
uh
Rare.
huh. Yeah. And then we also can put a very simple Bourdoon to that. It doesn't matter melodically. We're not talking about minor or anything. We just are soaking in a song that has that tonality. And this is a huge hit with second grade to the point that I was doing this for the first time um, day before yesterday with a group. And one of the students started singing along. I'm like, what's going on? Did I did I teach you this already? She's like, no, my friend so and so was singing it in the after school club. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that's cute. Um, my PE teacher too has told me my student, my her two children who go to our school. She's like, my girls are singing Black Cat all the time. I'm like, that's awesome.
It's so
Um,
catchy.
it's so catchy. And you can put some very nice instrumentation you can layer onto that. So Black Cat for the win. Also, in the realm of instrument playing, we are playing and singing Apple Tree because we've got that So Me La. Apple tree, will your apples fall on me? I won't cry, I won't shout if your apples knock me out. So you've got just that one doe at the very end. And this is a wonderful chance for them just to practice that steady beat with a bordoon on do and so. I tend to do it in D major, although I don't love that. I'm just trying to get two kids on each instrument because getting out all the instruments, you know what a pain it is.
Mhm.
Um, I was also inspired by seeing Tom Borden a few weeks ago. He presented for Rocky, and he was talking about instrument strategies or instrument skills and how he has those because he is very well versed in Orff and Kodai, but he has like instrument skills woven into his year plans for each grade level. And I was thinking, you know what? I do that unconsciously, and that makes a lot of sense. And I really need to be more intentional of first grade, we're Bordoon. Second grade, we can do a jumping Bordoon,
Chord
right?
Bordoon.
A what?
A chord Bordoon, I think. Or no,
Yes, I'm sorry.
leveled Bordoon. A
A
leveled.
level. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
A leveled Bordoon.
See,
And then we
I
can
learned
do
stuff
a
this summer.
good job, a broken Bordoon, right? And then in third grade, I'm like, oh, I know where I'm going to go with third grade to do that crossover. The do me so, no,
Oh,
do
so.
so do. Excuse me, do so do, and then build to do so do so does.
Mhm.
Right.
Yep.
So I was thinking that's easy enough. I can have room in my curriculum to deliberately put in each year. This is this skill that we want on the board, the Bard instruments.
Mhm.
So yeah, I was inspired by that. Um, and then I'll start with the very first thing I'm doing because I brought my guitar up here, so I might as well use it. He shared an opening song. I'm always on the lookout for opening songs because I get bored of the same opening song. So like I will rock the same opening song for like 6 lessons and then I want to change it up, which does fine. So, say hello. And I think this is maybe a game plan in the game plan. I don't know. I could go look it up. We'll put it in the show notes. So, clap on the chords. Say hello and how are you? Say hello and how are you? Say hello and get down and get down and get down. Say hello and how are you? Which is just easy. Now
Super
this
cute.
time, yeah, super cute, but not sappy and doable. And now this time you can stomp on those chords and so on and so forth. So a couple little gems that I'm using from Tom, like Debbie O'Shea mentioned yesterday when we did that webinar with Debbie. If I don't use things that I get from workshops pretty quickly afterwards, I forget them. So my goal was just like, oh, here's two little things, ideas, songs that I want to make sure I put into my rotation and see how they go. So that is pretty much what is going on in second grade. We need to do more dough prep. Melodically, melodically is always more challenging. And these second graders, I'm really impressed with how well they are singing in tune. So it's time to really get solid on so la so mi do, and then Ray by the end of the year. So that's what's going on.
Awesome. I'm just going to ask because I see it in our notes for ourselves. You have an interactive game. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh yeah, it's silly. I do. I have a little interactive game.
If you don't want to talk about it, I can
No,
cut
I
that
do want to talk about it. I was just no, I was just thinking about whether I can give it to people.
out. Oh, if it's not ready yet for public.
Well, I could give it to people. Here's the caveat. I didn't put any. Okay. backing up. It's a Google Slides thing. I have a lot of PowerPoint type of things that I've made, but this I made on Google Slides. And it's where there's two patterns. It's on a 2-line or a 3-line staff because I made a couple of different versions for different classes. I made a SOMI one and a SOMI Law one, and it's just red note heads or blue note heads, but it doesn't have like hear the recording and pick which one. I wrote down a cheat sheet and I have to sing it.
Oh, you just made a heart with your hands and Zoom like animated it. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Okay, this is enticement for people to go on YouTube and see what's happening. How come mine isn't working? Okay. Wow.
Wow.
Squirrel, I'm really totally distracted now. That was
I
super
am too.
cute.
That is very cute. Wow, who knew? Uh it matches my Fontaine's
It,
DC concert shirt.
it does.
So yeah, I made a little interactive game. There's blue note heads or red note heads, no rhythm, no stems, no key, no sharps, no flats, not even a do clef. Just this is where
Oh
so
yeah.
is, right? And so I have to like look at my cheat sheet and sing it. And the thing I like about not having a recording on there is that I can either sing so la so mi, or depending on the level of the students, I can go loo 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 loo, or I could just sing so. Like I you can just mix it up however you want for the class that's in the room at the time. And I sing it, kids sing it, and then a kid comes up and presses which one it is. And when you press the correct one, it goes to a new slide. It's all linked up. That's really
Mm.
what it's all about, is linking those slides. It goes to a slide that says, yay, you got it. Or it goes into oh, try again. And I'm using, this could have been a work smarter, not harder teacher tip. I'm using Stickity, which is a extension for Chrome that has all of these stickers that move around. I think too much stickity is a little overwhelming, but it's nice to have like just one little stickity thing on there. So I made the slides out of stickity,
Cute.
using stickity. And, if you want it, email me.
How about write us a review and then
Oh,
email?
okay. Write us a review
We
and
always like to
email me.
entice people to do that.
Yes. And I will say, I linked it all up. I linked it correctly. It's still a little glitchy and I don't get it. I don't know why, but sometimes when the kid goes to tap on it, it doesn't immediately bring you to the next slide, but it is all linked up. I need to triple check that I've got all my layers correct. Have you used it? I gave it to you.
No, I haven't used it yet, but yeah, I know I was playing around with it, but then I told you about it and you fixed it, so I don't know. Maybe it's fixed now, but
I know I fixed it all and it's still kind of glitchy. Maybe we shouldn't offer to, whatever. You can cut this part of the podcast, Carrie, or I can cut it or
it's
not.
fine. No, but
It's
that's,
fine.
I mean, I think this brings up a good point that these interactive games are a real pain to make, which is why people like you and other folks who make these games and put them on TPT, I'm so thankful for, because the times that I've tried to make them, they're such a pain to get everything linked correctly. So
It is.
anytime you see those interactive game resources, know that that's hours and hours of time that somebody has put into that resource. So
Yeah, it's always amusing to me that I often go, you know what? I'll just make this. It'll only take 15 minutes. No, it never does that. It
I'm
never
like
takes
that about a
15
lot
minutes.
of things, but not interactive games because I've learned. I've been burnt.
Well, I've learned to, but I just don't believe myself. So anyway,
I get it.
yes, if you want it, I will send it to you. I will send you the answer key. There's no recording on it. You got to be the singer, which is kind of nice.
It is kind of nice.
Also, you can pitch it wherever you want. That's the other
Yeah.
good thing.
You
Yeah.
could play it on an instrument. Yeah,
Yes.
you could do it however you want. So,
Yep.
cool.
Okay.
All right. Awesome. Well, per usual, so much overlap where we're at, Tanya, with our students and with our literature. So, a lot of samesies. Let's see, where do I want to go first? Let's talk rhythmically first. So, yeah, same spot. We're doing a lot of practice of ta ti ti rest. One of my favorites right now, because it also works out very well that this is Hispanic Heritage Month, is the chant that goes Zapatito Blanco, Zapatito Azul, Dime cuántos años tienes tú, which translates to white shoes, blue shoes, tell me how old you are. And this game is played like bubblegum in a dish, where you have the students put out their shoes, their feet, in a circle, and you tap their shoes to the beat. And whoever has the last on, Dime cuántos años tienes tú, that student tells you how old they are, which is so funny because in second grade it's like seven, seven, seven. They're pretty much all seven. Occasionally, we have an 8-year-old who had an early birthday. And then we count that out, starting from that student, and then whoever has the shoe on the seven, most of the time, then that shoe is tucked away. That shoe is out. So the first time I play this game, I devoted a big chunk of time because we do it whole group all the way through. But I tell you what, every time I'm getting antsy while I'm doing it, they love it. They're like on the edge of their seat to see who the winner's going to be. And then the next time, in the very next lesson, we split because we split into 4 small circles, and I have 4 pointers, like those like plastic pointers with the little pointer finger on them. I give each student a pointer and they're in charge of the pointing. And when we get to the how old are you are part, each circle does that part independently, and then we all start again. And then we have 4 winners, one from each circle, and then they come to the middle and I say, okay, we're going to do a one shoe showdown. So for those 4 winners from each individual circle, I finish the game with them. They each can put in one shoe and we finish it from there. So now it only takes like 7 or 8 minutes to play the game, which is still kind of long. So I don't play this game a ton, but it is one of their favorites. And then it does come back often on choice days later in the year. I saw you raising your hand, Tanya.
I
Yes,
have a
Tanya.
clarifying question,
Yes.
not really pedagogy related. When
Mm,
you do it whole group, do you use your pointer with the pointing hand?
I do. I have an extra long one.
Okay, my back hurts
Oh yeah. Oh heck yeah. I have one of the super long ones that I use for
because
myself.
because I do the same.
Yeah.
I haven't this year yet, but I'm just like, oh my, because I use a jingle hammer,
Oh
which is
no,
not
those are
smart.
way too small. No, no, no. Oh my
And I'm
gosh.
like, how can
Now
I
your
do
Zoom
this?
just did a thumbs up, Tanya. Did you see that?
I'm so magic.
So, what is happening? Oh my gosh. Okay, that's so cute.
You have to
Yeah,
watch the
no.
video, people.
Honestly, I was thinking about that and I was like, oh, if I didn't have this long pointer, I would honestly get out like a yardstick and I would use that. I mean, gently. Very
And then the
gently.
principal walks in and goes, what's going on?
What's going on with you and that ruler? Yeah, there you go. So, Zapatito Blanco, I forgot. I think no, I don't even I'm not even going to speculate who I learned that from because I don't want to say it wrong, but I'll put it in the show notes. Thank you to whoever I learned that from. It's a
I've learned it
favorite.
from a few different people.
Okay, it's out there. I didn't want
It's
to
out there. Yeah,
specifically say
it's great.
unless I knew for sure.
It's always a big hit, and I'm always surprised. It's one of those that I'm like, really?
They
Okay.
they absolutely love it. Exactly. So we read the notation with the rest and then, we play the game. Another favorite for rest, and this I use, at the end of first grade, and then I also bring it back in second grade is Ecological blue bottle fishes in the sea. If you want a partner, please choose me, which is the game where you're walking with a partner and then there's one student left over in the middle, or if there is an even number of students, I'm the leftover in the middle in the first round. And then at some point in time, you give them a signal to break away and quickly go find a new partner. And then whoever's left in the middle, too bad for you. And then you just keep playing it again. Um, Also, we're doing a lot of work with 2 beat meter. So did this last year, but I always want to take some time to review it. So I brought back bounce high, bounce the ball to shy low. And we're using racquetball balls to do a bounce catch, bounce catch. I'll put a video in the show notes of my students doing this because I just did this recently. Yes,
So,
Tanya.
so you did do 2 beat meter in first grade.
I did 2 beat meter. We're just reviewing right now. We're still
Good job.
reviewing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was one of those, put on the brakes. It's not going to happen this year. And yeah,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I got to it, but I always want to review it because then inevitably we're going to get to 4 beat meters. So I want to make sure,
Yeah.
obviously, they're super solid on that. So yeah, we've been doing lots of work with bouncing and catching with the little racket balls, putting in bar lines to familiar songs and chants, and then conducting 2 beat meter, all of those lovely things. Then the other thing I love about Bounce High, Bounce Low and Ikalako Blue Bottle is that then these are great double duty songs. So you mentioned Debbie O'Shea, our great friend from Australia. We just did a webinar for her crescendo music education, all about double duty songs. And so we mentioned Bounce High, Bounce Low. I don't think we did mention Ikalako, but this is definitely
No.
a double duty song for me, as I am
Yes.
just like you, Tanya, also practicing So, Me, and La. Something that I actually do is I like to just really focus on just So and Me. Even though I did get to La last year in first grade, it was very quick. It was like literally in my last rotation, and I don't think we even got to it on the staff. I just presented it more just conceptually, a step away from So, with body signs and with stick notation, but we didn't get to it on the staff. So really what I'm focusing on now is just the So and Me. So taking a song like Apple Tree and just pulling out the so me, and just focusing on that. And yes, we did get to a 5 line staff last year and they were pretty solid with it. So we're just reviewing that. So one of the things I did was some melodic dictation, which with our favorite thing, mini erasers. So I have a class set of Apple mini erasers and I get so much bang for my buck with those for both rhythmic and melodic dictation. But using those as our note heads on our 5 line staff, I'll snag a picture of my students doing that because I'll be teaching this lesson again this week. So I'll snag a picture of them and put it on our socials. But it's just you take a 5 line staff and you can use little mini erasers from Target or wherever you get them from, and they fit perfectly on the lines and in the spaces. So we were practicing writing different patterns with So and Me. And I was doing things in C-Do simply for the fact that when I'm doing staff work, I like to start with line 2 for So, line 1 for Me, because that's super easy and concrete for them to understand, right? And then we obviously move it around in different places depending on the song literature we're doing. That doesn't mean I sing everything in C-Do. It just means for staff learning, that's a really good place to start. And then we go other places, not in the same lesson, but
No.
in later
Yeah.
lessons. So now that we're feeling really solid on the So and Me, now I'm going to pull back in the La, and we're going to do lots of work coming up in our next rotation about if So is in a space, La is on the line above. If So is on a line, La is in the space above. That's our La rule, we call it. So I'll be using Apple Tree again, as well as Bounce High, Bounce Low, as well as Ikalako Blue Bottle. So all of these great double and triple duty songs.
I love your law rule. I want to do that. I want to
Yeah.
make a like a
Oh,
I
like
keep
we
now I
tried
keep
to.
doing some thumbs up to see the thing.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I love that idea of like this is the official law rule, kids. Oh, look, it did again.
Did the hearts this time. Yes. Yeah, we like chant it. If So is on a line, then La is in the space above. If So
It's
is
not
in a space. I mean, it's
yeah,
silly, but yeah,
it's
it
not too
drives home the
scary. It's
point.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it.
And then I just want to also give a shout out to stations. So, now that we have I really feel like, yes, I know it's October, but we really have firmly reviewed everything, and now we're ready to start moving on to, yeah, prepping dough. And then I am going to stick with half note, although I'm intrigued by this tick idea. I just have to ruminate on it a little longer. But anyways, all that to say, I wanted to do a stations day, and I know a lot of us do stations or centers in different ways. Some like to just have all the stations be about one conceptual thing. I like to have some rhythmic and some melodic, just because I feel like, especially when you're finishing like a review session like we did now, it just makes sense, right? So I did 5 stations with them. One 3 of them, actually 4 of them were rhythmic this time. But typically I'll have like 3 be rhythmic and 1 melodic or vice versa. But for this one, we did an interactive game. So I used one of Linda McPherson's games, the Dracula Dance, where they are identifying different rhythm patterns with Ta, Ti, Ti, and Rest and choosing which one it is. So I can I can put that on the Mimeo board and they can just do it on their own, which is really nice. Another station was taking the little one each wooden cubes. You can get them easily off Amazon, and then writing in Sharpie ta, tt, and rest, two on each side, 6 sides total. Students can do dictation and also do like a roll and write activity. So in this case, they were doing dictation where I had flashcards and they took turns being the teacher. The teacher picked a flashcard and read it to the students. They don't show it to them, they just read it, and then the students have to write it out and then they rotate. They love that. They just love that idea of being the teacher and checking on their students and seeing how they did. Another game was a matching game where I have the foam shape cards and I had pumpkins, and they're just patterns of ta, tt, and rest. So they flip over 2 cards, and if they're the same rhythm, they keep them, and if they aren't the same, they put them down. I did have another game, but we weren't ready for it because it's a so mi la matching game where on some of the pumpkins, it's just like written the solfa letters like S M S M, and then on the other pumpkin card it's written on the staff so me
Right.
so
Yes.
me.
Stick to
So
staff.
they have to match stick to staff exactly. But we weren't ready because that game also has law, and I didn't think we were quite ready for it yet.
Yeah.
So just wanted to put that out there. My one melodic station, which really wasn't thinking too hard, was playing boomwhackers. So I do have one of a felt staff with felt color coded note heads. So I put apple tree up there, and even though we don't know dough yet, it's kind of that interesting prep moment of like, for some kids they are like, "Ooh, we haven't learned this note yet," and then it's like, "Oh, look on the boomwhacker and it tells you what it is." But like if they figure it out, they figure it out, and that's okay. That's life, right? Like they're gonna see dough and ray somewhere, but as you say, Tanya, we haven't been formally introduced to them yet, so it's fine. So it's just a matter of putting out the boomwhackers they need. I put out a pointer, and they take turns being the pointer. I think it's just so good for that practice of tracking notation on a staff
Yes.
too, to have take turns being the
And I love your big felt
yeah.
staff board that you can use, but just if you don't have one, because I don't have one, you can print out, a color coded paper
Oh,
and make it
totally.
as big as you can and have kids track, um, be the student conductor and other kids. That's, don't let the felt staff keep you
No.
from doing the thing. And also, Carrie, we need to, I know we did a episode on stations, but we need to revisit because both of us, I know, have taken stations to other places. And there's a lot of things that we can talk about the specifics of what you mentioned before. Should it be like all this one rhythmic concept? Could it
Yeah.
be all this melodic? How does it look like when you mix it? I've done stations where it's prepping for us to go and hear a symphonic concert. I've now
Mm-hmm.
done stations where we're prepping for a concert program, and each station is a song from the program, and they've got to do something different with, this station, they're playing an ostinato while they're singing the song, that kind of thing. Anyway,
Yeah.
there's so much more to talk about,
Yeah.
because that station's episode, a few years old by now.
Oh yeah, we could definitely revisit. So
Yeah.
Um, so I'll just finish by saying my last station then is the Fiddlesticks game, which I'm sure we've talked about, where you take popsicle sticks, the bigger ones, and you write a bunch of different rhythms on them, and then you mix in fiddlesticks. Some people write kaboom. It's the same idea.
Yeah.
You put all the sticks in a cup. Students close their eyes, draw a stick. They take turns, and when they open their eyes, they read their rhythm. If they got it right, they keep the stick. If they got it wrong, they put it back. But if they get fiddlesticks or kaboom, either way, they have to put all the sticks back in the cup, that one student, and then they start from scratch. It's just a cheesy little game, but it's one of their favorites. So
Yeah.
this was my first time doing stations with second grade, so that always takes a little bit more talking through, and I kept the stations really simple. I didn't anchor myself at any stations because I wanted to be able to walk around and make sure, and they did great, and it was so fun, and they loved it. So stations for the win. I was glad that I included a stations day because we'll talk more about it later, but now that gives me more options for the future and even sub days if you're brave. So that's it. That was my second grade week. It was a lot going on, a little bit of Halloweeny stuff too, but not too much yet because I will see them for another full rotation before Halloween. So, yeah, but a lot of the same as you too. So now it is time to talk about knowing better and doing better, which is a time where we are reflecting on being more culturally responsive in our classroom. And Tanya has some ideas for us today.
Well, Carrie, you had the same idea because we were talking off mic about who which of us it was going to do know better do better today. We usually trade off, and you thought, oh, did I write this link in our show notes? And no, I wrote this link because we both listen to the same podcast. If you listen to The Cult of Pedagogy with Jennifer Gonzalez, on the 29th of September she dropped an episode called Making Schools Better for Gender Expansive Kids, and it's a fantastic episode where she talks to a special guest who has written a book on this. I'm sorry, I'm looking it up. His name. Well, when you listen to the podcast, you will get that. Dave Edwards. So she talks to Dave Edwards, who has written a book and goes and supports schools with gender expansive students' needs. And there were a lot of wonderful tips that he mentioned on this podcast. I am going to get the book um, because it was just really things I hadn't thought about or things that I had guessed about that I thought I knew. So there you go.
Awesome.
We like to work smarter, not harder. We try.
We try.
Carrie, give us a tip.
Okay, so technology. Ah, technology. So I know one of the biggest frustrations with technology is when everything goes wrong and students have a million questions and they can't find this and they can't find that. And how do I get to this and how do I get to that? So I have a rule in my class and it has served me well. And it's the ask two rule, where you have to ask two friends before you ask me. Because inevitably, yeah, some kids struggle with it, but then there's some kids who figure it out faster than I do. So just by telling them, because I don't know why with technology more so than anything else, students first go to is raise their hand, ask the teacher immediately. I can't find it. You know, it's like this thing where they just immediately. So you've got like 10 kids all walking up to you like a zombie with their Chromebooks open, like help me. And I'm like, no. Have you asked two friends? You have to. So so I have
Don't
that
help them.
rule. And it truly has worked well for all things. I have very few students who come to me and ask me for help finding links or how do I hit the microphone button or whatever it is. More often than not, they can help each other. So it's the ask tool rule. It works well for all things, but technology especially.
Carrie, I have a thought. You could make, I mean, I know emojis are not emojis, sorry. Bitmoji is over. I get it. But you could just have your own little photograph of your face
Yeah.
with a little have you asked to, you could just hold the sign up.
I bet you there's a Bitmoji of peace sign. So I could like have a Bitmoji of me with doing a peace sign that means ask to. But yeah, ask to. And the kids, they really are good about it. So, anyways, just a little thing, but it helps.
It's our coda section where we talk about something we're enjoying in or out of the classroom. Although lately it's been a lot of out of classroom because
We
it's
need a life.
busy. We need to have a life. So, what are you enjoying, Carrie?
Not that mine is really all that deep, but I stumbled upon a show and it's not new, but I honestly didn't know it existed. It's the High Fidelity remake on Hulu that came out in 2020. Did you see this, Tanya?
Do you really want to know all the things I know about high fidelity?
I mean, I know you always ask me if I've read the book, and I'm like, no, I haven't read the book yet, but I
I
still
loved the
want to.
book. The book is set in London.
Yes.
I kind of loved the John Cusack when he remade it and it's set in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I did watch the series with Zoe Kravitz,
Yeah.
which was a fun little twist because the main character is female instead.
Exactly.
Um, I don't think I finished it, but that yeah, I was very amused by it.
Yeah,
So
no, I liked it. Like I said, it's not anything deep, but yeah, I really like the John Cusack High Fidelity movie. I've seen it many times. It's kind of like a comfort watch for me, like a
yeah,
rainy day, not feeling good kind of movie. And so watching this was fun because it's like all the little lines and Easter eggs. There's little things throughout the whole series, of course, that are very cute, either specific lines or even like references to music that they talked about in the first one that they bring back in this movie. And I haven't finished it either, but I'm almost done with it. And I mean, there's only one season. They canceled it, which I've read lots of opinions online of some people who are like, yeah, that's fine. And but many people thought it was a really good show, and maybe it was just the timing of it. It was 2020, lots was
yeah, it
going
was
on.
2020.
But Zoe Kravitz is adorable, and
Yes.
I just really enjoyed it. So if you like that kind of thing, and anything that gets me listening to new music too is always fun. So, of course, now I'm
I am
like,
a sucker for love story with lots of music reference peppered in, you know.
exactly. So, yeah, then that leads me to going to Spotify and looking up a lot of the artists, and I'm shazamming things constantly while I'm watching the show. So, yeah, it's a good watch if you're not too interested in a series that's going to go on longer than 10 episodes because that's all you get.
You know, you just mentioned Spotify. I bet because I do this. I bet there's a playlist that someone put together.
Oh, 100%. I'm sure there is.
So,
That was going to be the next thing I was going to look for, but also just knowing who the artists are so I can just go and listen to that artist too is fun. So
yes.
so that's mine. I've been enjoying High Fidelity. It's just been a nice casual watch.
Yeah.
And it's on Hulu. I don't know if I already said that. All right, Tanya, how about you?
Well, it's spooky reading season.
Yay.
Okay. Or at least tense, unsettled reading season for me because I don't like to get too spooky because I'm a scaredy cat of all the blood and guts and spooky, mystical. Yeah. So, anyway, Tana French is sometimes just my vibe, right? So, you and I have both talked about like Tana French novels, and you've warned me there's a couple that I should not read, and I
Yeah.
will trust you on that.
The last one I read, don't read it.
Okay.
I liked
I,
it. I don't even remember what it was called. I'll look it up.
right.
You go.
Well,
Broken
I went.
Harbor. That's what it is.
Oh,
Broken
Broken
Harbor.
Harbor. Okay, I will not read that one.
No.
But not all of her books are really that intense, as I'm guessing that one is. I read The Searcher by Tana French a couple of years ago, and it is set around the main character, Cal, who is a retired cop, and then he moves to Ireland and buys a dilapidated house and fixes it up, and things happen. He gets to know the community, who are not who are fine, but not exactly pleased to have him around. But he gets to, establish himself. But there's also things going on. Anyway, there's a second book in this series that recently came out, which is interesting because I usually don't like series. So when I read the first book, it wasn't a series yet, and now it is. So I was inclined to read the second book, which is The Hunter, and same characters, but it's a very cozy vibe. It's set in Ireland. Um, and it's the vibe, it's the atmosphere of it, a little bit spooky but very cozy. There is like some goings on that's going to turn into like a mystery thing, and extra bonus, which I know I'm geeky for, but literally the other day I was reading, and just they named the author name dropped Fontaine's DC, one of my favorite bands right at the moment, that just someone like some teenagers, they were painting a house and listening to Fontaine's DC. And I'm like, wow, that's random.
Cool. They were
And
speaking to you.
they were, yes, Tana French was speaking to me. She is Irish, yes?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, all of her books are set in Ireland, so I mean, I think they all are.
Yeah. So I mean it's not that far of a stretch
Yeah,
for an Irish author to mention an Irish band, but
sure.
I just thought that was amusing because there I was, cozy, and um there you go. So it's a good read. I'm only like halfway through it, but spooky season for reading.
Yay.
Yay. We've reached the double bar line. Thank you for listening to Music Teacher Coffee Talk. Show notes can be found at musicteachercoffeetalkpodcast.com. We've reached the double bar line. Thank you for listening to Music Teacher Coffee Talk. Show notes can be found at musicteachercoffeetalkpodcast.com. You can connect with us on Facebook and Instagram. Just look for Music Teacher Coffee Talk.
If you enjoyed this show, please consider subscribing, rating, and leaving us a review on iTunes to help others find this podcast. And we always appreciate folks buying us a coffee, so look for that link on our show notes and on our Facebook page. Until next time, this is Carrie.
And this is Tanya, wishing you happy musicking.